What's going on, everybody? My name's Lewis. You know me with Inner Sun or Higher Self Integration. I want to talk to you about a really funny topic that you all have probably seen in others. You've seen it in yourself, maybe. It's kind of a big paradox. It's a funny paradox. So stick with me. If you end up by liking the video, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it around with your friends. It helps a ton when it comes to making this channel grow. So much appreciated. So the ego, right? Like every time that people are starting to want to have a spiritual awakening of many kinds, they start to recognize what the ego is and what kind of role it might have been playing in their life. And right away people are very often, you may have heard it or said it yourself, oh, I want to be done with the ego and I want it to not be taking control of my life and I want to kill the ego. Or a lot of people think their ego is already dead and, oh, I'm so spiritual and evolved that my ego is dead, I killed it a long time ago. Anyway, I could make a whole other video about that for another time. That's kind of funny, but anyway, it's understandable. So I'm not gonna joke on anybody. I think it's kind of like a stage that everybody on this path might want to go through. After some time, of course, you start to realize that at least in this lifetime, the ego is not just going to go away. It's just about the relationship that you form with it and to what level you let it take control of your life. So this particular video is centered around a certain kind of mask that the ego can wear, and it's kind of sneaky. And this can very often happen when people are newer on their awakening or spiritual journey. Because the ego is going to constantly try to assert a role in your life. It's, if you understand what the ego is, it helps you kind of navigate through this and not let it take over your life in so many ways. So learning its characteristic traits are important, right? So the ego is a lot of times about your identity, who you are and who you think you are, at least. Who am I? Of course, that's like a question that's tied into the inner journey and the spirituality, the inner awakening quest. I'm going to get more into that whole mask, that the ego likes to take a little bit here after I explain a little bit of a few characteristic traits about the ego. So yeah, it's kind of leading up to that. The ego, it's got your self-concept, your identity, who you think you are, your titles, your culture. A lot of times the ego's characteristic is to divide and separate things, and that's how it seeks to understand the world. And it's got a role, whether that's bad or good or how you feel that might be bad or good, it's got a role. It's a learning tool. That's the way I see it now. So dividing, separating things, comparing, and of course that can lead to competition. And when you don't become consciously aware of where your ego is taking you, that's when it could get painful or messy or cause just a mess in certain areas of your life. So it's just about keeping it in check. So there's nothing wrong with being identified, having different identities, or knowing your culture and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's good to not let that become all that you are. Do not let those titles engulf you, and do not let them take you to the place of anguish in your household and your relationships and your relationships with humans, your loved ones, your family, your spouses, because that's where it gets messy, is when it becomes about proving a point and my belief system versus your belief system, my culture versus your culture. That's when you got to put the brakes on the ego. So, talking about those few points there when it comes to recognizing, how to identify the ego and where it want to take its role will help the main point of this video make a little bit more sense. And the mask that it likes to take very often, especially early in people's spiritual journey, is the self-righteousness mask. This is very funny, you know. A lot of times, people will let their own righteous actions in their life, the donations that they give to charity, and the religion that they are, the spirituality that they are, the political party that they are, that makes them feel more righteous and good, a spiritual value, right? Like things, this must be good, but they also let that become their identity, and they also let that make themselves feel more superior than other people. So you see the paradox right there, right? So it's something that many see might be a well-intentioned thing to donate or to have a spirituality or to, you know, not cause any suffering. But then, you know, the good old ego, if left unchecked, will start to, you know, give itself an award for that, and now start to compare itself to other people and use that as a means to devalue other people in their life and devalue other experiences in their life. And you can see how that can get to be toxic, right? I was a vegan for 6-7 years, okay, and I did it for my own, you know, personal journey. I liked the ethics of it. I liked that. I thought it was the healthiest for me at the time, at least. I thought that it was the best thing for the planet, you know, until I learned some new things. But, you know, I noticed within the vegan community that there were a lot of people that, you know, that was how they felt like they were better than other people in society. It was their moral superiority. And, you know, it reminded me a lot of evangelical Christians and, you know, those Christians that were protesting at, like, I don't know, like a gay pride parade or something like that, or an abortion clinic, or the Christians that go to war-torn country or go to Africa or go to South America and try to be a missionary there. A lot of them, to me, have come off as, you know, not really caring about those causes, but caring more about seeming morally superior. Sure, there is some vegans and some evangelicals that you can tell they have good intentions and they're doing this from the place of truly caring for that cause. And so that's the trap is, and that's the point that I need to get to too, is it's about the intention that matters. Intention is so powerful when working with the law of attraction and trying to create the life that you want, and everything that you do, intention is huge. So it's how your motives behind everything. And if you're not very conscious and aware, the ego can sneak into your motives. This is the point of the video. So you can be a Christian, and you can be spiritual, and you can be a vegan, and you can be, you know, the highest donating person at your church to the hospital, the children's hospital or something like that. And that's all good and dandy, but what will really affect your karma more, your spiritual path more, your life after this one more, is your intention. Are you being very unity oriented? You know, seeing things outside of just yourself. Is this for the good of others, for the good of that cause? Or is this about your ego feeling good about itself and feeling like it can, you know, be worthy, and you can have the most points at the family dinner at Thanksgiving when people are talking about who they donated the most money to and all that stuff. So, you know, it's, you know, it could be for a little of both too if you want. You can feel good about yourself for doing it, but your core intention needs to really be about that cause and that purpose and so on. And that's what's gonna really make or break what kind of karmic effect that has, rippling out to the universe at large and back to you. So, you know, this is not to like call anybody out or to judge anybody, because everybody's done this on some level. And that's just a funny paradox. You know, we're trying to like spiritually grow and level up and ascend old habits and ways, and it's a very cyclical journey. So when you think you killed your ego at your spiritual awakening, just be humble and be aware, because this whole life is about a cyclical up and down spiral, if you will, more of growth, and that takes a lot of slips and falls, and the ego will come and try to assert itself in again. And you have a high week, you might have a week where you're tested very much by your mind and your ego, and that's the point. So meditate constantly, write in your journal constantly. The integration journaling process that I talk about a lot is very helpful for this, because the more that you're aware of what's going on, the more that you can be conscious of your motives and conscious of your intentions and everything that you do in your entire life. So yeah, it's good to see you all. It's been a while. I've been, in some other endeavors in my life, really busy, and just got over being sick a little bit here. I've had that ego before too. I'll admit it. Like, well, I'm such a health nut that I never get sick, and I thought I was such hot shit because of that, and so cool, and I had to humble myself because I get sick too. It's some weird stuff's going on around right now lately, and I think I got it at the farmer's market, but it is what it is. It doesn't it's not that big a deal. I laugh about it, and that's the thing. You want to laugh at your slip-ups along your spiritual journey and learn from it. That's the most important thing. This whole life is learning. So laugh at yourself, be soft at yourself, take the shame out. Don't shame others for not being spirit. Just take your focus back to your own spiritual growth and your own intentions, and you'll be set. So that's takes constant practice. Peace, everybody. You all have an amazing weekend.